acquiring information in the sciences is not instantaneous. It requires many interactions with the information. So a system that I like to recommend to students, because students often like systems, they feel comfortable with that, right? So I call it a study cycle, and the cycle begins with previewing the textbook. That means looking over headings, subheadings, looking over the figures or any of the charts, just to get a feeling with some of the terminology and some of the concepts. It's kind of like stretching your muscles before you go for a run. It helps get students ready to hear the information. Students can then go into lecture and pay more attention. Studies have shown that we pay attention to things we understand. We can focus our attention when we understand what's going on. It's much harder to focus when the information is completely new to us. It's like a foreign language, and it's hard to pull out the words. But when you've previewed, you can take better notes, you can stay more focused, you're more engaged in the lecture. Almost immediately after, as soon as they can after lecture, then they go back and they really focus on their reading. Previewing only takes like 15 or 20 minutes before class. But once you've gone to the lecture, then you know what the professor thinks is important. You know what to focus your reading on. So with the lecture notes open and the book open, you then read. And the lecture notes guide your reading. They focus your reading. And then you spend 2 or 3 hours reading the textbook, covering up the figures or the diagrams, trying to recreate them on your own, generating test questions on your own. This is also another really good time to get together. I encourage students to get together, to study, to read, fill in any missing notes that they didn't get, something they didn't understand during lecture. They can quiz each other while they're reading, quiz each other over their notes. This should take about 2-3 hours to review the text with the notes. So that's the third time they've interacted with the information. In the weekend, so this is the fourth time now, over the weekend, try to bring all of the notes and all of the reading together from the previous week. So you're making connections and you're seeing the big picture. And that's now the fourth time that you've interacted with the information. And then finally, before the exam, you do the big review where you try to see how all the concepts fit together. You try to answer those test questions. You try to predict what the professor is going to ask. If he's giving you a practice exam, if he or she is giving you a practice exam, then you try to work those practice problems.